Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Just been making slight upgrades to my little recording area.
Yeah.
I just showed you I got some new lighting, and I'm feeling pretty optimistic because I have been planning on doing some streaming.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit nervous at how that's gonna go, but I wanted everything production wise to be as good as I can get it, as far as my budget goes.
Sure.
I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm excited to get going on streaming and stuff like that, which hopefully should be fun.
Cool. Yeah, I think that should be really cool. What you did show me of your recording area looks really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just trying to. I don't know if I mentioned it. I feel like I maybe mentioned it last time, but I was trying to find all of my nerdy things that I own to kind of put behind me as my backdrop.
Sure.
Because people, you've seen YouTube videos and streams and stuff where people just have a shelf of nerdy crap behind them.
Yeah.
And it's okay, cool. Yeah, that's just that's just some of their favorite things behind them or whatever. It's lets you know that they're actually a nerd and not just some somebody trying to sell you something.
Right. Someday I think I should probably try and rearrange my room to do it, that sort of thing. But
right.
For now, it's just there's a shelf of tools behind me.
So I was running around and I swear I had more nerd crap than this. I couldn't find enough stuff to fit on my shelves. I was I swear there's more than this. There has to be. And I got my D&D books and a couple little plushies and a couple Funko Pops and stuff like you do.
Yeah.
And there's got to be more. Where is it all? And then I realized I got a good amount of my nerd stuff doesn't go well on a shelf.
Sure.
It's not really display nerd stuff. I guess I could put my Warhammer miniatures up there, but most of them aren't painted and they're very small, so they wouldn't really they wouldn't really pick up at the back of the camera.
Sure.
Anyway, so what you been up to?
So it is this coming Sunday is my wedding anniversary.
Oh yeah.
And so we will have been married for 12 years.
Woo!
And I didn't know what to get my wife. She said I didn't really need to get her anything. I mean, I know people say that,
right.
But in particular, she couldn't think of anything to tell me to get her because, normally she would be oh yeah, get me this, and this. And I mean, it's the 12 years. It's not it's a super monumental occasion or anything, but I did come up with something and I'm probably going to regret it at some point. But I'm pretty sure I've told you, maybe I haven't, but I'm not a fan of taxidermy. My wife, however, is very much a fan of taxidermy to the point where she is often trying to find ways to accidentally buy taxidermy so that then she, can't get rid of it, Well, anyway,
it's bonded to the house now.
Well, yeah. So a few days ago, she went to, and I guess 45 minutes from where we live, there's this death museum that she went to. It's just this weird little, it's a little one-room museum of macabre stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the things they had in there, in the gift shop area, I guess, was a taxidermied bear, a full bear. It's the bear itself is 5 feet and some inches tall, and then it's on a little stand. So altogether, it's about 7 feet.
Gabe.
And it had a price tag on it that said $800.
Gabe.
And I don't like taxidermy, but that struck me as an incredibly low price for what this was. And also it was pretty cute looking. It had an outfit on it. And so
God.
I asked Lisa, is that a real price or is this just part of the museum? Is that is it a prop or something? And she said, no, it's a real price. I guess the guy, needs the money. So he's selling it at a super low price. And so I told her, all right, well, if it'll fit in the car, go ahead and buy it. And that's your anniversary present.
Oh.
It didn't fit in the car.
Oh.
However, tomorrow.
Is that why you were asking me if I had a truck?
Well, sort of. If you had one, I was going to ask if I could borrow your truck, but I was pretty sure you didn't have one. Couldn't even remember for sure if you ever had a truck.
Right. Yeah. But, I used to own a truck, but
yeah.
Dang it! Now I wish I had a truck, because then I could have had the story of like, yeah, I had to go help my friend move a taxidermy bear to his house.
Yeah. So we're renting a truck tomorrow to go and pick up this bear. And apparently, Lisa got the story behind this bear. It was not killed by a hunter or anything.
Okay.
It was a bear that broke into somebody's house and I think ate their dog or something.
Oh no!
It was a bad bear. So they had to kill the bear because it was, it was threatening the lives of people. So
what? Man.
Yeah.
You bring a dead dog into the story, and now you, man.
Yeah.
So it was a bear that ate a dog.
It was a bad bear. So we are.
It was a bear. What do you think a bear's gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I'm a bear. Oh, that's somebody's property. Better not go on it. Here's a small animal I can definitely consume. I should just leave it alone. It's a bear. It's going to do bear things. But also sad about dead dog.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely does bring it down a little bit. But
it's an extra, that is an extra bit that Lisa can add to it when she says like, oh, this is my bear. It ate a dog. Like,
sure. And Lisa did do a search to see like how much such a bear would cost normally, and normally it'd be like $3,000.
Oh wow!
So
okay. yeah. I was imagining at least a grand, maybe two, but okay.
Yeah. So I will probably regret it at some point. I told Lisa I reserve the right to make you go put that in the basement, whenever I so choose, because that's what I've had her do with the taxidermy she does own. It's all downstairs in her walk-in closet.
But Gabe, this is a 5-foot bear.
Yeah, I know.
So like, that's going in the basement means you're putting it in the basement. Like,
you raise an interesting point.
It's like, if you want it in the basement, I'm pretty sure you're going to be the one to do it. Yeah. Like, not that Lisa isn't capable, but like it's, oh man.
Yeah. So next, whenever you are over next, there will most likely be a bear in our living room.
So it has an outfit already?
I don't think it comes with the outfit. However,
the outfit isn't included? Now come on,
what
a ripoff.
Lisa did manage to negotiate the hat that it was wearing. So we got a hat to go with the bear, and then she'll come up with outfits to put on it.
You need to get it a Gabe shirt. It has to wear a Gabe shirt. It has to. Gabe, this has to happen. Like, you can't not have it wear a Gabe shirt. At least have a Gabe shirt that you can put on it. Like, you can get a Gabe shirt and then like, basically just cut open the back and just have like straps so you can kind of like.
I do have at least one Gabe shirt that I can't wear anymore because it's too old.
Right. So you can basically just, you can tailor it to the bear.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Yeah. You've,
that'll be your new profile picture instead of super hands in the.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, that's what's going on with me lately.
Wow. All right.
So
man, what? I don't even know if I could do the show anymore. I'm just gonna be thinking about this bear the whole time.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that'll do it for. Go ahead.
So on that note, do you want to go ahead and jump into this episode?
Yeah, I'll just barrel right through it.
Oh boy. Just grin and bear it, Jeff.
Yeah, that's That's
it
the
might
line.
it might get a bit hairy, but all right. So Jeff, I want you to imagine that you wake up in a little bit of a daze.
Okay.
You're disoriented. It's difficult for you to move. Give me do you have dice handy?
I do actually.
Okay. Give me a perception check. See if you can figure out what exactly is going on.
Okay. Ooh, I got an 11.
Okay. You feel like you are trapped under something, and it's difficult to move. You can move a little bit after a little while, but like it's dark, you can't see anything. You are feeling some sort of like cold surface pressing against you. And your first thought is that maybe you were like trapped in an avalanche or something like that. You've heard of stories of people that get caught in an avalanche. They wake up and they're like disoriented. They don't know which direction is up.
Yeah.
There's even a little trick. If you spit, you can see where the spit goes, and that'll tell you what direction is down.
Oh,
apparently that's a thing. But
that makes a lot of sense.
It's not quite cold enough to be snow. And as you move and you start to shift a little bit, you hear like there's like a clinking sound whenever you move.
Okay.
Give me another perception check to see if you can determine which direction is up. And I'll say with advantage because you thought of the spitting.
Spitting. I rolled double 19s.
Whoa, good job. Okay. So you luckily are able to easily determine which way you spit, and then it falls straight back on your face.
Oh.
So you know that the other direction is down. So you manage to push your way up, and then your head pops out and you realize what you were trapped under. And do you know what you were trapped under, Jeff?
What was it?
You were trapped under the dragon's horde. See, your neighbor asked you to come over to help him move his horde.
A taxidermy bear?
A taxidermy bear, and then the gold pile just, it fell on you.
A taxidermy owl bear.
Yes.
See, that'd be something.
That would be something.
Yeah.
That'd be hard to do, though, because there aren't any owls big enough to make a...
I'm sure a talented artist / taxidermist could probably like take enough owls to make an owl bear.
Yeah, maybe.
Like you'd use many owls went into the making of this owl bear.
I guess. So today's magic item was submitted by Joe S. via Discord, and the magic item is called the Bowman's Slip. So a slip owned by a person that uses a bow.
Okay.
These are magical gloves. They require attunement, and they are a rare magic item. And Joe S. said, in the spirit of giving my players more options and ways to confound me, I made this up, and I'm giving it out tonight. And this was several months ago, so gave it out several months ago.
Yep.
As a jolt of it, and sorry, this has a little bit of a weird intro. It's sort of in the first person until we get to the mechanics, so bear with me. Bear with me. As a jolt of a wave shakes me awake, I open my eyes to darkness. The smell of old damp wood and the sound of lapping waters let me know I'm on a boat. I can hear the oars dipping into the water. One set of oars, one captor. Another wave shakes the boat as my eyes adjust. I feel a pinch on my wrists. Manacles? Relief floods over me as I realize that my captors don't know anything about me. I close my eyes and concentrate and feel the metal pins and hooks of thieves' tools form out of my hand. I silently unlock the manacles and stay still, holding them to avoid noise. Concentrating again, I retract the picks back into my hand and mentally form a metal spike from each palm. I slowly move closer, timing the waves, and shove a spike behind the ear of the rower, catching him off guard.
Ooh.
Should have done your homework, I mutter under my breath as I turn the boat around. So these gloves, while originally designed for an archer, have limitless uses. The gloves appear to be a light, web-like mesh made out of fine steel wire. When they're attuned, they sink into the skin and are indistinguishable from the skin or scales of the wearer's hands. As a bonus action, the player may use the metal in their hands to create anything made of metal about the size of a dagger or smaller.
Ooh.
So you can make things from thieves' tools to climbing gear for gripping ropes, anything like that.
Yeah.
The gloves were originally designed by an archer to change his fingers into a release for a bowstring. Doing so gives the user increased accuracy and adds 25% to the effective range of the bow, It also adds +1 to attack rolls and damage rolls while using a bow. The uses are up to the imagination of your players, from a spell focus to a fork to keep that nasty barbecue sauce off your precious little fingers. So yeah, this item has a fairly simple mechanical advantage, and that's when you're using a bow, it increases the range and gives you bonus to attack and damage. But you can create anything out of the metal wire that is in your hands.
Now, it's anything you make is basically still attached to you, though?
That's a good question. I would say yes.
Because I would imagine, like, because my first thought was, like, is this a way to, like, make arrows out of your hand or something like that?
Sure.
But no, like, or like if you used a dagger, you couldn't use it like as a throwing dagger, I guess. But it's, yeah, I feel like that's a good limitation.
Yeah.
That you can't just be like making daggers and throwing them, or if you do throw it, you got to get it back.
Exactly.
That is the magic item.
Right.
So if you make a dagger, does it count as a magical weapon? Is it also +1 to attack and damage? I guess specifically with this, no, but like
I would say
maybe,
no, yeah.
But maybe it still counts as magic though.
I don't know. That would be a good thing to clarify, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. These are and these are things that, like, if you're gonna put it into different game systems, like, like different editions of D&D or something like that, you can always make adjustments here and there.
Sure.
Because like the 25% bonus to the range, like what is it in Pathfinder 2nd edition? It's like there's the different like increments.
Oh yeah.
So maybe something along the lines of like you can
it counts as one increment better.
Yeah, so it's like because you take a penalty for each like increment beyond the first, and so you can say you get a bonus. You don't take the penalty for the first increment or whatever.
Sure. This definitely makes me think of any sort of like nanotech.
Yeah. That's pretty
specifically
cool.
Like Iron Man from the last couple Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's wearing this suit, but the suit can basically turn into anything. It can turn into clothes. He can like make his hand into like a punching dagger.
Sure.
All sorts of stuff. It kind of makes me think of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like stuff like that. Like I like the Swiss Army knife style of magic weapons where they're like, overall they're mundane because you're just getting like tools out of the deal, but like you could just turn it into whatever. I don't know if it's still the case. The Unearthed Arcana Warforged before the Eberron, the 5th edition Eberron book came out.
Yeah.
There was like a version of it where they had a tool. They like had a tool embedded in them. Like one of the types of Warforged could have a like any sort of tool, like so you can have thieves' tools built into their body.
Sure.
And I like stuff like that where it's like you got like a little hidden compartment or whatever. Or there was like it's like an assassin thing, or maybe it's a spell where you can like hide a weapon on your body that's a tattoo.
Yes.
So like the tattoo of a dagger on your arm, but then you activate it and it becomes a real dagger. Like stuff like that's always really neat. Like, I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that this is a really cool item. It's one of those things that, like it says in the description, it's really just the possibilities are limitless. It's whatever the players can come up with. And I like that Joe S. specifically gave this to his players so that they can, come up with ways to confound the DM. I think that's a good motivation.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so he knows that he's bringing it upon himself. Like it's going to be like less like, oh, dang it, you guys. It's going to be like, oh, well, good job.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So really cool item. Good job, Joe S. Thank you for submitting this. Hopefully your players liked it. And then I think that'll do it for the Dragon's Hoard today. Once again, that was the Bowman's Slip submitted by Joe S. via Discord. If anybody else wanted to submit magic items for the Dragon's Hoard, Jeff, or if they wanted to submit questions for us to discuss, or stories for the funeral pyre or retirement village, how would they get those to us?
They can email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
That's correct. And before we go any further, we have a couple giveaways to give away today.
Ooh.
First off, we have our weekly giveaway of Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 2, courtesy of Crit Academy. For anybody not familiar, Unearthed Tips and Tricks is a series of supplements that Crit Academy has created that contains character concepts, encounter concepts, monster variants, magic items, player tips, and DM tips. 25 of each in the book, and I helped them write it, so I'm very much in favor of giving out copies of these to people. So, Jeff, who is our winner of this great supplement today?
Today's winner is David J.
Winner! Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes, congratulations, David J. You should be getting that in your email pretty soon. Be sure to leave Crit Academy a review so that they can get more attention, and if there's anything they can improve, then they will know about that so they can improve on it in the future. So, congratulations. Thank you to Crit Academy for facilitating this. Jeff, if anybody else wanted to be like David J. and win a free copy of this great supplement, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with Unearthed Tips and Tricks, Volume 2 in the subject line.
Yes, got to put that 2 in there or it won't go in the right folder. And then next up, we have our October-only giveaway of Strahd's Manual of Shadow, courtesy of Seawood Scribe on DM's Guild. So once again, this is a Halloween a horror or Halloween themed supplement with 5 new races, 6 new classes, a whole bunch of backgrounds, feats, spells, and items, and a bunch of monsters. Tons and tons of stuff. It's like 200 pages. This supplement is.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yes, lots and lots of good stuff. So, Jeff, who is our first winner of Strahd's Manual of Shadow in this October?
Our first winner is Jeff R.
Winner! Yes, congratulations, Jeff R. As with Crit Academy, be sure to leave Seawood Scribe a review. Leave a review for this product. It's a great product. At least I think it's a great product. Hopefully you do too. So leave a review, positive or negative. Hopefully positive. The more reviews this product gets, also then the more attention it gets, and the more things they can improve on, and so on. So thank you to Seawood Scribe. Thank you, Jeff R, for entering. Good job, everybody. Jeff, if anybody else wanted to win this supplement as well, how can they get that this month?
They can send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with Strahd's Manual of Shadow in the subject line.
Yes. So thank you to Crit Academy and Seawood Scribe. Good luck to everybody else out there. Great stuff. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and hopefully some of you will win in the near future. And then next up, I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons for helping make the show happen. We have a Patreon campaign at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. We've got a bunch of different rewards on there at various reward tiers. We've got outtakes. We've got monthly bonus podcast covering various topics. We've got a monthly Roll20 game. The day that we record this, our Roll20 game for September is happening tomorrow. So I don't know how it went. Hopefully it went really well. And then I've got something fun planned for October as well. So yeah, if you want to help out the show and get some cool stuff in return, go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Check out the rewards and see if anything appeals to you. And thank you to everybody who has continued to donate during these rough times. We really appreciate it. Then just one more thing. Check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy at critacademy.com. Justin, Ian, and Austin make new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. Also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. They are an actual play podcast on the network. And check out D&D Character Lab. Garen and Dan made characters every week and pitted them against each other to debate whose character is better. And we've had all of those hosts, with the exception of Austin, and I think on Brute Force and Ignorance we only had Dan and Jake. Well, I don't think we haven't had anybody else from that show on here. But we've had a lot of these people on our podcast as guests in the past. Hopefully we'll have many of them on here as guests again in the future. So go check those out. Enough of all that. Let's get into some questions, Jeff.
Our first question comes from Jeff T on Discord, which was, it's a little odd. My middle initial is T. So I was like, oh, wait, no. Comes from Jeff T on Discord, and they ask, how do you know what level is appropriate for certain magic items?
Yeah, so this one, there is a little chart in the Dungeon Master's Guide. However, this is it's less of a science and more of an art. The chart in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it just kind of gives like a recommended level for certain things as well as a recommended value. But of course, like the value and the prices and such, if you're buying them, are going to vary from campaign to campaign. But according to this chart, common items, it says character level 1st or higher. Uncommon, also first or higher, which I think is kind of bonkers because there's some really powerful uncommon items out there. Rare 5th or higher,
Okay.
very rare 11th or higher, and legendary 17th or higher. So, I mean, some of those, like, for example, a broom of flying is an uncommon magic item.
Yeah.
You're not going to see many DMs giving out a broom of flying at first level.
Right.
So, I don't know. I kind of feel like you shouldn't follow this chart at all.
Well, you got to remember that you can get flying at first level, Gabe.
Jeff, you bring up an interesting point. Thank you.
So,
I mean, that's true. I am a curmudgeon, but I don't know. I don't like it.
Right. Yeah. I'm not saying do it. Everybody should do it, or that every DM should let their player play a tiefling with wings, or even an Aarakocra or whatever.
Yeah.
That seems. I mean, then, like, it's a rough guide. Like,
yeah,
it's these sort of things. Like, if it's gonna help out, like, somebody in a party can feel underpowered, like they picked the wrong class for the wrong adventure, kind of a thing. Like they didn't quite understand what they were going to be getting into. Like I've done before. Like, I've made a character, and you've graciously let me re-roll a character.
Sure.
Another option could have been, well, keep your character, but here's this magic item to kind of make up that power gap, something like that.
Which I did kind of do as well.
Which you did also do. Thanks for bringing that up.
I mean,
you make an interesting point.
I don't mean it as a bad thing. I'm just saying, that's what you can do if there is something that is lacking, you can supplement it by, either remaking a character, by changing a character, or by adding a magic item. So the game is a lot more malleable than you might think.
Right. I guess, like, because it's also tricky when you're, like, making your own magic items too.
Yeah.
And it's like, what, knowing what rarity to set them at.
Yeah.
Is its own challenge. So, like, the magic items I like to think of, and like I think I would want to make, are like ones based off of like monster abilities, and then you can, I guess you can take those monster abilities and, like, you can always dumb the numbers down if you think they're too powerful and stuff like that. But you can take, like, the challenge rating of that monster and be like, well, I'm making a magical item that does something similar to this monster, and kind of gauge it from there.
Sure.
And I mean, with existing magic items, there's a similar thing where it's like, it acts like this spell. So you can kind of, like, be like, okay, it's the fly spell.
Yeah.
What level is the fly spell? What is it, like?
3rd.
Is it 3rd? Okay.
Yep.
Which you get at 5th level, right?
Yeah, correct.
So, like, it's like, and like something like the broom of flying, that is a constant form of flying. They don't have to cast it, as far as I understand. Like, you might have to, like, activate it or something, but I think you just can fly around on a broomstick like you imagine you would.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a bit more powerful than just using a slot to have a fly spell cast on you that only lasts for such and such tens of minutes or whatever. So yeah, there are ways to, there are kind of ways to kind of gauge, like, when you think you should, as far as, like, comparing it to mechanics and levels and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like it's more of, like, the rule of cool kind of thing, where it's like, will this be fun? Is this something my characters want, my players want? Will this break my game? Like, will this break the campaign in some way? Like, if not, and if it's not going to be overpowered for the monsters you're going to put them up against, like, there's not really a strict, like, level.
Sure.
For most items.
Yeah. I feel like the biggest factor in determining when you should give out magic items is trying to think to yourself, what purpose is this magic item going to have? Try and think about, let's say you're going to give them an item in the middle of an adventure. What effect is this item going to have on this adventure in particular? If, for example, there is a monster, if it's a low level adventure and there's a monster at the end that has that is damage resistance or damage immunity to non-magical weapons, if you give them a +1 sword earlier in that adventure, it's going to make a big impact on the end of the adventure. And that's fine. You know, that's a perfectly fine way to do that. But then if it's something like, oh, there's a magic item that gives you flight, and then there's part of the adventure that is only interesting or fun if the players don't have access to flight, then, you know, giving them that item in that adventure might make that not as fun. Also, when you are making adventures in the future, you want to keep in mind, what items have I given out already, and try and take that into account. If you have, you know, a 7th or 8th level adventure where one of the encounters is dependent on the players not having a magic weapon, but you've already given them 2 magic weapons in the past, that encounter is not going to be as exciting because they already have something that will, you know, that will defeat it. So a little bit of forethought can get you thinking about stuff. You might give them an item now that doesn't necessarily benefit them much now, but might in the future. Like you might give them, I don't know, a tuning fork that lets you travel to the plane of Mechanus or something. And then in 2 or 3 adventures, have something where, oh no, the only way to get past this door is by using something from Mechanus. Well, now they can go there and they can get that and they can come back.
Yeah.
You know, so try and look ahead at what you're going to be doing in the future. Try and think about what's going to happen right around when you give this magic item. Generally speaking, I think that you should kind of just trust your players to do what they, kind of like with the magic item we were talking about earlier in the Dragon's Hoard. Give your players something that you maybe aren't even sure what they're going to do with, and then see what they do with it, and then make adjustments as you go.
Yeah.
I personally don't really worry too much about whether a magic item is going to be too powerful. I try to put in magic items if I think it's going to make something cool happen right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can always, at higher levels, you can come up with ways to mitigate a player having too many magic items or whatever. And I guess that's kind of another topic to talk about on this, is like, should you worry about giving away too many magic items? I do hear a lot of players, or a lot of people on discussion forums and such, saying that a lot of monsters that people think of as being weak are only weak because the players have a lot of magic items. And I don't necessarily think that having a lot of magic items is always a problem, especially depending on what they are, because, you know, you've only got so many actions. If something takes an action, you can only use one of them per round. If something requires attunement, you can only have a couple of them attuned at a time. So, I don't know. I'm always of the opinion of, like, just go hog wild. Give out whatever magic items you want. If you need to worry about it later, you can worry about it later. If you are concerned about something being too powerful, give it a number of charges. You know, make it a limited use magic item.
Yeah.
Or something. Give it an expiration date, or have a puzzle in a future adventure that requires them to give up that magic item, or something.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's a spoiler. Dang it. I don't. It was gonna be. You know what? There's a great example of that in an adventure, but it's a spoiler. Oh man.
I mean, do you want to tell the story and I can just bleep out the name of the whatever, or?
Well, there's basically there's a part in an adventure where you have to destroy this evil thing. But at some point in the adventure, you can come across this cool magic item that you find out is a way to destroy the evil thing. And
okay.
But in the act of destruction of the evil thing, it destroys the cool magical item.
Sure.
You know, sorry, I don't want to give specifics because it's I don't know. It's relevant to our listeners and also you.
Okay. But I guess the point you're trying to make is that it is possible to have, you know, give the players a magic item that might be really good, and then have a way to make them sacrifice that in the future. Yeah. So that they don't have that anymore or something.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of like weigh that option. Like, is this going to be the only way you can get through the adventure? Maybe there's another way, but it's harder. But the easy way is to sacrifice your cool magical item.
Sure. You know. One thing that I will add is that there's a table in the there's a section on the Dungeon Master's Guide about starting equipment for different types of campaigns as well as higher level characters. And it suggests that if you are playing in a low or standard magic item, or in a low or standard magic campaign, a 10th level character should start with no magic items and one uncommon magic item in a high magic campaign. And then also that if you are in a standard campaign starting at level 17, you should start with one rare item. High magic campaign at 11th level, one rare magic item. So like the Dungeon Master's Guide seems to have been written in such a way encouraging DMs to give out very, very few magic items.
Yeah, because that sounds like that sounds like nothing.
That's nothing. I mean,
yeah,
I guess you can do that if you want, but
like, okay, wait, what is the starting at level? What was the first one? Starting at level 5 or something?
Level 10, you will start with no magic items unless you're playing in a high magic campaign.
That is bonkers. Because
then you'll have one uncommon magic item.
The number of enemies that are resistant to non-magical attacks.
Yeah.
At that level, like, that just seems unreal. Like,
yeah, but then see this seems like a really weird part of game design to me, because you get monsters like the Tarrasque. I mean, I know I've talked about the Tarrasque many times about how poorly made it is.
Sure.
The Tarrasque, it has immunity to non-magic weapons, yet it is a challenge 30. What character is going to be fighting the Tarrasque without a magic weapon? You're not going to be encountering the Tarrasque at level 5. You know, so what? Why put that in its stat block? I guess, okay, it makes sense how it would interact with normal commoners or whatever.
Right. But, yeah, it's more flavor than it is actual, like,
yeah.
Mechanic.
It's a neat idea for the game to intend for you to have very few magic items. However, in practice, I don't think anybody does that. That does not sound fun to me. Again, I understand not wanting to give your characters too many magic items or too powerful of magic items. I get that. But who plays, if you were to play in a campaign and you got to 10th level, who gets to 10th level without any magic items? Nobody. So why should you start at 10th level with no magic items?
Yeah,
it's so weird to me.
Because I feel like I've seen similar charts, but are like way on the other side of the spectrum, where it's like you get this many of this item and this many of this. Like it's like,
yeah,
it's multiples of, like, you get 2 uncommon, one, one rare, one very rare, or whatever.
Yeah. In 4th edition, there was a rule of thumb that I can't remember if it was supposed to be for making higher level characters or just if you reach this level, you should have blank. But it was, let's say you're level 10. That means that you should have one 10th level magic item, one 11th level magic item, and one 9th level magic item. And that was kind of the rule of thumb for that. In 3rd edition D&D, I want to say that there was like a chart of how much gold you should have at any given level. And then you could just pick out magic items that cost up to that amount of gold.
Yeah.
I also think that something that 3rd edition did that gave a little bit more of a gradient is that with damage resistance, for example, the Tarrasque wouldn't have immunity to non-magical weapons. It would have a certain amount of damage reduction for anything that was not a +5 weapon. So like if you had a +1 weapon, you could get over +1 damage reduction, but you couldn't get over +2 damage reduction. And then there was +3 and +4 and +5. And then technically there was anything above +5, which was like, epic or whatever. But there, you could make it so that you can be a 10th level character and still face enemies that have damage reduction, even if you have a magic weapon. Because it would make sense for you to have a magic weapon. Maybe it wouldn't make sense for you to have a +3 weapon. Maybe you have a +2 weapon. So it was easier to get away with this sort of thing because it wasn't all or nothing when it came to overcoming resistances. There was a gradient. So it still kind of made sense for monsters to have resistances to certain magic weapons, even though you'll have magic weapons by that point because you'll have a different level of magic weapons. And they even changed that as early as 3.5. Like 3.5 got rid of that as well. So I get that they're trying to move away from this. It's just weird to me. Magic items have always been such a fun part of the game. The book is full of there are so many magic items in the DMG, and every D&D book that comes out afterwards has more magic items. Yet they still hold to this principle of, oh, you should have one uncommon magic item at 10th level if you're playing a high magic campaign. Then why does the book have like 200 magic items in it?
Right.
It's just real weird.
Yeah, it does feel odd. Like, magic items are too much fun. Like,
they really are. And then how can you say no magic items at 10th level, but also uncommon magic items? Yeah, you can have those at first level. Like, those are two completely different things.
Yeah, that is a bit odd. Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer the question, heck if I know, because the book doesn't even agree with me.
Right. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next question comes from Dustin on Discord, and they ask, how do you integrate player backstories into a pre-planned plot like a module, and is it necessary to do so? Yeah,
I'm going to say for the last part, not necessarily. You can if you want to, if there's an easy way to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely do, though, unless I had an idea ahead of time. Unless like there's something that really looks like it's going to fit really well. I usually try to have the pre-planned module. I try to have it be a separate thing, and then maybe something between the adventures is what connects to the players.
Yeah.
Maybe as the campaign goes on, I'll find ways to fit them into the main plot and such. But it's a lot of work, and oftentimes ends up feeling kind of clunky.
Sure. Yeah. Like shoehorned.
Yeah. So like I think back to
shoehorn is the thing that you jam into the heel to help get your foot in the shoe.
To fit your foot into a shoe that doesn't necessarily fit.
Sure. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what is shoe? Wait. I was thinking of a horseshoe for some reason. Anyway, go on.
Horseshoe this into the adventure.
Yeah.
I remember back in the Age of Worms adventure path that I ran a long time ago, the adventures themselves didn't really necessitate fitting the player backstories into them. There were some things that I did. I knew that when we first started, I knew that there was, because the first adventure was just kind of, you guys just stumbled upon this thing.
Yeah.
And then I knew that there was a later adventure that involved like a prophecy of some kind. And so I decided I wanted to fit you guys into the prophecy. So I came up with some sort of like ancient backstory that you were connected to, you were all descended from some ancient order that you didn't know about. And I spent a lot of time, I very slowly introduced these ideas into the campaign, but I was doing it kind of just off the cuff because, again, it wasn't really, that was me putting that in there. It wasn't really part of the adventure. But then the second to last adventure of that adventure path, which wasn't out at the time, like when we first started, that adventure wasn't out yet. When it did come out, I found out that the writers of that actually tried to do the same thing, but it came out of freaking nowhere. It came out of left field. It was just like, oh, hey, you all are part of, this prophecy or something. And it's like, that was only part of the adventure path because I put it there. There were no clues leading up to that were not put in by me into the adventure.
Sure.
So I feel like a lot of the time that the modules, if they try to do it, they don't do it well. So
right, yeah.
So I don't feel so bad when I don't do it well either.
Right, yeah. So you just do what you take it into your own hands, do what you can. Yeah.
Like I kind of feel like you either have to do it right immediately at the beginning, have it be like, oh, your long lost great aunt or whatever is the one that got that was involved in this prophecy or something, and that's why you're going on this adventure. Do it right at the beginning, or do it very slowly over a long period of time, because otherwise it's going to feel like it comes out of nowhere. And I don't know. A lot of the time I feel like you could take or leave that. It's cool when the players are involved in the backstory or the plot or whatever, but it's rarely necessary because the players are almost always down for going on the adventure regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they kind of players will do a good job of inserting themselves in it anyway.
Sure.
Like they will make it their story.
Yeah.
You know, and if they feel like they would like something of their backstory to be part of like the prophecy or whatever, like they can always suggest it or bring it up, and maybe you can work with them to work it in. But like, if it's not super easy and it doesn't feel necessary, like don't stress
don't
yourself.
Horseshoe it in there unless they
don't horseshoe it in. Very good.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I think that'll do it for our regular questions for today.
Okay.
But before we move on, we do still have our social media questions. Our last social media question was, have you ever built a prop, such as a sword, a spell book, a mask, etc., to use when role-playing as your character? If not, what's a prop you would make if you had the ability, as well as the time and money and so on?
Yeah.
Do you recall if you had an answer?
I don't know if I had anything specific. I think built a prop. Nah, I can't remember anything. I do remember, and Steve actually brought this up recently, that him and I once made a cardboard and duct tape Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So that just reminded me of that. Not specifically for playing D&D or playing a character in D&D or anything, but
that's a missed opportunity, Jeff. You should have played as Cloud from Final Fantasy VII.
Well, who is to say that I didn't try that, Gabe?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was a second edition character sheet in there might be a second edition character sheet in one of my old folders that has like Cloud Strife in the character name.
Well, there you go.
Field. So,
I don't think I ever made a prop. However, I think it'd be cool to have like a spell book or something, even just to keep like your character sheet and stuff in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Over on Facebook, Jake F says, I had a ranger once who liked to read tarot cards, so I designed his personal tarot deck for telling fortunes. Cool. It was made on index cards, which I never got around to making a version with anything nicer than pencil sketch art, but it was a fun diversion for a one-shot adventure.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Ryan P says, a bandolier with various sparkly liquids in it for my character, Favorith Drakeheart, who is a con man who sells fake magical beauty products to nobles and flees town before any of them are the wiser.
Yeah, that's really good, because that's a really good like role-playing prop.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could be, swindling somebody into buying this like, little glittery little test tube thing or something.
Yeah. I feel like it'd be really easy to make like prop potions.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't use anything that's gonna like go bad, but
right. And it doesn't have to be liquid. You can just like fill it up with some like tinsel or something.
Sure. Sean M says, so in recent years, I've started playing casters and quickly realized that no one app, list, fillable PDF, or paid for service really does the trick. I looked up online binders to store the spell cards I caved in and bought. One binder for all of them, and I wanted a stylized one. Not only are there few options for 2x2 spell cards, binders, and sheets, but they're expensive and pretty cheap material. I asked a buddy who does leather work to make me a cover for a 2x2 binder one day. At least this way, I'll get a custom job for the same price or less than a very plain leather standard binder. And that's with making sure my friend is generously compensated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, especially if you know someone that does this. Yeah, kick them a few bucks, pay them what you would pay the store, and you'll probably get a better product.
That is the good thing about the age that we are. Like,
yeah,
because back in the day, like you were like trying to do these things, but yeah, you ended up using just like some
cardboard,
like flat, cardboard, and just, like just little 3x5 cards or whatever. The pencil sketches, and you do what you can. But like now, it's like, oh, I know somebody who actually like went into leather making or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I know, like, I'm Facebook friends with a blacksmith. Like, like, you know, if I wanted something, if I wanted like a fancy like candle, you know, candle holder or something, like I know somebody who can do that.
Yeah.
So like it's, you know, one of the upsides, like, well, yeah, we don't have as much time to play, but we have access to better toys, I guess.
Sure. That is a perk of being older, is that we do have better toys than we did when we were kids. We just don't have the time to play with them all.
Right. Yeah. That's why they sit on my shelf.
Yeah. Dan W says, not for role playing, but plenty of Halloween and cosplay stuff. Closest thing I've done is play a bongo that lives sorry. When I first read that, I thought he meant like he was the bongo.
The cosplaying as a bongo?
Playing as a bongo.
Oh, his character was a bongo.
Yeah, sorry. Closest thing I've done is play a bongo that lives next to my computer when playing online for some background beats, as that's what my character was doing. Because he said it lives next to his... I read the first half of that sentence and I was like, oh, a bongo that lives next to the tavern. Wait a minute. Over on Reddit, we just got one. Alistar the Minotaur says, once upon a time, many moons ago, I tried my hand at LARPing. During that relatively brief phase in my life, I had built a foam axe for my persona, Maximus the Gladiator. A bit on the nose, I know. I have never built anything for Dungeons and Dragons other than maps and minis, however. And, okay, actually, now that he mentions that, I don't think I still own them, but at one point I did own a foam sword and a foam shield. However, I never used those for role-playing at all. I just, I did take part in foam sword fighting. So,
well, right, yeah, I remember.
So I guess I didn't think of that. I think that would have been a valid answer to this question.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about the Maximus the Gladiator thing.
Everybody's done that.
We've all done that. And in fact, I just mentioned the Cloud Strife thing. So don't feel bad. That's how you like. That's how you get started in making characters. You know, you take a character you like, and then you build off of that. You know, you find the parts that you like the most, and then you start making your own character off of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, everybody does that. It's a rite of passage, I guess.
Yeah.
Over on Twitter, Crit Academy says, I've built a spell book before using those blank hollow books from Joanne's. Turned out pretty well, so much so I made a duplicate for a friend. Inside are spell cards, dice, and note cards. And this is Justin from Crit Academy. I'm actually surprised he didn't mention he just, for his wedding anniversary, actually, he forged a dagger.
Oh,
there
nice.
was near where he lives, there's like some there's a blacksmith. Basically, you pay a certain amount of money and then they give you the ore. They do most of the work, but you can like hammer it yourself. And then once you're done, they sharpen it and everything. Yeah,
it's sort of like like on hands learning experience, sort of hands-on learning experience kind of thing. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm surprised he didn't mention that because that's totally something that I would use that for role playing. Oh, suddenly every character I play is a rogue. That's funny.
Wait, Gabe, did he already have his anniversary, or is that why he didn't say it because he didn't want to?
Oh, I mean, this was a while ago.
Okay, I feel like I remember seeing the pictures of him doing it.
Yeah,
but okay. Anyway,
I don't know. Over on Discord, we got a few. Dustin says, I feel like we've done this before because I told you guys about the masks that I've made. So I will instead tell you about a buddy of mine who made small flasks of potions that he could drink when his alchemist used one. And actually, when I included masks as part of the question because I was trying to give Dustin the opportunity to bring up the masks he'd made, but he chose not to, I guess.
Because I think we had a question more for specifically like attire, maybe.
Probably. We did, I think like a year ago we did, have you ever made like a costume or something?
Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah. Deborah Soar says, spell books are always fun to make. I have one where I drew specific spell circles for each spell. And then she included a photo of some of the drawings that she's done, which is pretty cool. Monty says, going to go simple, a plain chain necklace with an oak leaf hanging from it. After rescuing a dwarven smith's son that was surveying a new mine, the party was offered a creation. My character is an archfey warlock and his patron is his lover. So he requested a mithril chain necklace with an oak leaf pendant and plans to give it to his patron next time they meet. It has become a major part of the character, though, and while staying in a seedy inn, a thief saw the precious metal and stole it along with other goods from the party. A few rounds of phantasmal force made him reveal where the goods were pawned. So yeah, it's a good story.
That's pretty good.
F.A. Miller says, I haven't made this prop yet, but I am planning on making a playable lyre that matches the design of my bard's instrument to play music during my brother's campaign. Peastroy Pancakes says, I didn't end up actually buying or making it, but I wanted to buy a 6-sided die that would physically represent a magic item I had created for my game, inspired by a magical die we featured in the Dragon's Hoard a long time ago. She didn't specify which one because we've done a few of those, but
there's like the gate cube.
There's a cubic gate. I'm not sure if that's one she's talking about or one of our, like the third or fourth Dragon's Hoard we did or something was a 6-sided die. I don't know. Anyway, but she goes on, but we ended the game before I could decide whether I should just leave it plain 1-6 or make little paper symbols to stick on the sides to make it a better representation of the magic item. So yeah, you know, that's rough when the campaign ends and then you didn't actually get to make it into that thing.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, if you were to stick those things on there, I think that could be a fun thing to have as a memory of that campaign.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think just one more. Dr. Taco 86 says, I'm not sure that I would be interested in making this as a prop, but I do think it'd be amazing to make my own sword. I always found it fascinating when visiting historical sites that had a functioning blacksmith around. That is a skill that has really gone by the wayside. Granted, I have no idea how to effectively swing a sword, so it would mostly be a prop anyhow, but you get the idea. Yeah, there you go. So we got some good responses to that one. So that was our last social media question. Our next social media question is, what is the most bizarre character concept you've actually gotten the chance to play? And I'm specifying that you have gotten to play, because if it's just the most bizarre one you've come up with, we'd be here all day forever.
Sure.
So yeah, have you had a very bizarre character concept that you actually got to play, Jeff?
Can you think of any?
I can definitely think of the shoulder. The shoulder is for anybody who hasn't heard me talk about it in the past, was a barbarian that he had attacks with his shoulder. The idea was that he would have like armor spikes and that was his main weapon. He would just charge at people and hit them with his shoulder. And then I decided that he is only able to say the words, the shoulder. So like whenever he talks and someone asks him like, hey, what direction should we go? The shoulder. You know, how are we going to get through this door? The shoulder. What is the meaning of life? The shoulder. And then I gave him a great club that was once the arm of a statue. And the part of it that he hits people with is the shoulder.
Right.
And I actually got to play as this character. It was very difficult because I couldn't communicate with the rest of the party.
Right, yeah. Because wasn't there like some like mystery or puzzle you were solving?
There was a murder mystery or something, and like the player had a really good idea of what might have happened, and there was, without metagaming, there wasn't a way that I could communicate to the rest of the party what I thought happened. So, I mean, that's the choice I made, I guess.
Right, yeah. I mean, and like I've come up with some like I guess some interesting characters. I don't know how bizarre they'd be. Like there's Kaput, the malfunctioning Warforged.
That's a pretty good one.
The three examples I can think of were all Warforged.
Why am I not surprised?
Because the other one was the like Iron Man inspired character where he wasn't really a Warforged. He had like some accident, so he had like parts of his body were an artifact. And then there was Crush, who was the Warforged in our 4th edition.
Crush was a really cool character.
Yeah, I liked Crush, and like Crush was just like basically like a living golem or whatever. Like There wasn't really anything bizarre about him. He was just bizarre in that setting because it wasn't an Eberron.
Yeah,
campaign.
we kind of took a page out of the movie Ted, where he was a celebrity at one point because nobody had ever seen a living golem like him.
Right.
But that was like 20 years ago, and so now it's like people know who he is.
Yeah, like he's just sort of like he's old news now. It's like there's not really much more to him, or so they thought.
It's the damn statue.
It's the statue. Yeah.
And I feel like I've talked about the plans I had for that character at some point on this show. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've had some cool characters in the past. So of those, I would probably say Kaput is probably the one that is the most bonkers.
Yeah, and he definitely could have like. There's a lot more crazy stuff that could have been done with him.
Sure. So yeah, I'm excited to see what some of our listeners have to say. Again, like try to stick to ones that you've actually gotten to play, because otherwise, you talk forever.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our questions for today. Before we close out, let's wind down. Twilight has fallen. The beasts have been slain. The townspeople have been saved. Your job is done. It is time to set your armor down in the retirement village. Today's retirement village story was submitted by Sir Colbert on Reddit. And they say, my zealot barbarian was great friends with the light cleric in my party as we were both followers of Pelor, and she resurrected me to aid in a holy mission. Many sessions later, we stand victorious atop the evil villain's castle. As we begin to celebrate our victory, an undulating pool of darkness springs from the villain's lifeless corpse. It says that someone new must take its place, or the realm will be destroyed. The light cleric steps forward to plunge into the pool. She is too good and selfless to refuse, but I pin her against the wall with my newfound Luckblade greatsword. I tell her that her work is not yet over. She must use this sword to revive her parents. She will bring more people into Pelor's light than I ever could, and I give my life as easily as she brought it back. I plunge into the pool, become a pit fiend, and with my last bit of conscious will, I teleport my party to safety. My barbarian now waits for the day when the light cleric will return to free his soul and cleanse the land. Until then, my rule is as cruel as the one who came before me.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then they added not necessarily a character death, because this was when I was asking for character deaths. Not necessarily a character death, but definitely a satisfying ending or retirement. I've heard that the light cleric is going into Avernus to become powerful enough to save me, and that warms my heart. I just hope she doesn't get tempted along the way. So yeah,
that's really cool.
That is really cool. That's the type of epic ending for a campaign that everybody hopes for, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess let's raise a glass in memory of Sir Colbert's character who lives on and hopefully will have a better end in the end. Clink. What was that?
Sorry. Was that too loud?
No, it's fine. I just wasn't expecting it.
I just happen to have two glasses.
Okay. Well, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Horde, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. You can join the discussion on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Reddit. We have our Interparty Discord. We're on Twitter at InPartyConflict. Check those out for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. You can find us on the podcatcher of your choice. We're on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you download podcasts. Please leave us a rating, a review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you want to support the show monetarily, check out the rewards at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. We have a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, will go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is our YouTube channel where you can watch us play video games. You can also find FriendQuest on Twitch at twitch.tv/FriendQuestStream. We will be streaming a 24-hour marathon for the Extra Life charity.
All right, and you can head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show, what you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time...
Gabe, that episode was unbearable.